Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Randana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Pantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hare Krishna. Good morning, thank you for having me. Some new faces, and I'm sure I am a new face for you too. Hare Krishna. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 7, 40 through 43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So, for those who know me, know that I don't just start into the verse. I'm going to ask a few questions. Now, you just completed a list of incarnations as described by Shukadeva Goswami too. King Parikshit, thank you. Do you have any favorites? Who is your favorite? Or who struck you? It's going to require some memory recall. What was astonishing? Were any astonishing? Or some, ooh, never heard that before. Yes, what is your name?
Anthony.
Anthony.
I'm still confused with the Buddha. It's the exact same story.
Yeah. Is he a rocket man? What are these rockets? And
yeah, are they cars?
Yeah. No,
what's happening right now?
There's I believe there is a comment in the purport, or by at least I know Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that this list is not exactly the list perhaps in this timeline, the current timeline, but it could be previous millenniums and other universes as well, because the Lord comes in each and every universe, and he's described as he comes so often, it's like the waves of a river. You can't count the waves of a river. So he's coming again and again and again to the material world to display his pastimes, and from time immemorial. There is no beginning of that time. I guess maybe there is, but there is no charted time period. And when that started, Krishna is coming to show his pastimes. And his pastimes are filled with a number of things. They're filled with just his being part of the pastime becomes very attractive. And he also comes to distribute knowledge about him and distribute the process to come back to him. So he's coming, he's coming again and again and again to do this. And so when we're hearing a description of these universal personalities, Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, Shukadev Goswami, they have access to it all. Whereas we're thinking, well, how many thousands of years ago was that, or was it this time, or was for us, we're very limited in our ability to kind of think beyond the box, so to speak. So a lot of times throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, these are descriptions of either sometimes within this millennia or within this particular set of yugas, and we're going into technicalities here, but the time periods are divided into 4, and then they're piled upon each other. There are 14 of those in a row, and then there's a dissolution, and then there's partial dissolution. So all these things are going on and on and on, but Krishna is always coming to give those who have fallen into this, sometimes it's called as the trap or the ocean or the net or nescience, or that place where consciousness of him is not predominant. He always comes to give the living entities a chance to let him become prominent in their minds. So even just here we are, we're just talking about an obscure, you could say, we don't know exactly what millennium, what cycle of yugas this particular Buddha appeared in, but we take it. But these are details, and some people probably know those details, but I don't know of all the details of that particular Buddha. I knew that one would raise, but thank you for sharing. Any others that struck you? Jaina Shringa, did you have one that particularly struck you? Not yesterday. You've been talking about these incarnations for weeks, right? I was playing on your name. I bet there was one in there. Maybe there was one. Yeah, attracted to particularly. Maybe. What pray tell would his name be? Diners. Okay. He's shy, but that's okay. Huh? Varaha, yeah, and that's an instance that sometimes, because Varaha is mentioned throughout the first, second, third cantos a number of times, and sometimes it's one Varaha, sometimes it's another Varaha, sometimes he's white, and sometimes he's reddish. So again, that's like an indication that these are different Varahas from different instances of creation. What about you?
I always liked
Orma.
Yeah.
Turtle. Did you have a pet turtle growing up? Okay.
I mean,
Why did you like Orma?
so like, eating food
Oh, yeah.
and like, no.
Turtles are cute.
I'm gonna give a nice box on
Gajendra, yeah. Was that Krishna Garp? No, that was Dhruva's. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Gajendra is such a relatable pastime too. And sometimes he's coming, and we're actually become more attracted to his devotees in that pastime. Like some will say, yes, Shingadev, but Prahlad is the exalted, giving the most prominence. And the Sringadev is giving everything to Prahlad. And similarly with Vishnu arriving to save Gajendra, it is Gajendra who is like, wow, that's inspirational for us.
I like Parshuram.
Parshuram,
He can decapitate entire phalanx so fast nobody can even see him. When he gets tired, he moves the speed of the wind. All the heads
with this
just drop.
chopper. Yes. Prabhupada calls it not an axe, he calls it a chopper. And yeah.
Apparently the name apparently the name is Hari.
Hari, okay. Yes. Good. So all of these different incarnations, we just got a glimpse, just a little glimpse. And then yesterday, you finished, I believe, there was like you got a 3-for-1. Who was, what was the last incarnation, you could say, the avatar, particular avatar mentioned in 39? That's okay. I'll do. So Krishna first, he goes through this list. Sukadeva gives this list, and then he said, okay, and I believe, like, if you do look at it in a timeline, then at the end of Kali Yuga, Kalki comes. But then he moves into another slightly different topic to cover two more different varieties of presences of where a devotee could see Krishna in his avatar form. So the first is a 3-for-1. They're called the guna avatars. And the guna avatars, they're manifestations of Krishna, but in the different modes of nature. So there is the mode of passion, which is creation. And so he instills his potency in the power of creation. And we all have a little bit of that potency in us. We love to create things. We love to do that. And we usually get very good at starting projects. Once you become a householder, you have so many started projects because you get like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And you get it, and I say, okay, I got to caulk it. I'll do that another time. It's like, then it sits there for years sometimes, uncaulked. But because we have this potency, we also, in a minute form, we have a little bit of that potency, the creative potency, and that's instilled by Krishna. And then the most difficult is the maintaining what has been created. And we realize this all the time in our life. It is so easy to make something. It's even easier to destroy things, but to maintain something in a very good working condition, it takes endeavor, it takes resources, it takes consciousness. And so, who do you think is in charge of that one? Harisham, yes. He's gone. He left. He's probably maintaining something right now. But Lord Vishnu, yes. And then the destruction is his other potency. He incarnates in the guna of the mode of ignorance, and that is for destruction. When things need to be wound up and to be started over again, there's the destructive agency, and I think that's been touched on a number of times in the Bhagavatam up to this point. But all of them, Sukadev says, are different representations of the manifest energy of the Lord. So today we're going to look specifically at that middle one, that Lord Vishnu. What are his potencies, and what can we learn from that his particular. And so the first two verses are basically telling us we can't. And then the third is we can. So let's read text 40. I'll read this one. Who can describe the complete prowess of Vishnu? So he just said that he's incarnated as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And okay, Brahma, creation, Shiva, destruction. But who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientist, and so probably this would have been a good BI day for the class, but even the scientist who might have counted the particles of atoms of the universe cannot do so. So giving a little credence. I mean, I doubt they have actually figured out how many atoms are in the universe, but Sukadeva is saying it's possible. That is a possibility. You can do it.
Yeah,
Because, go ahead. You know the number?
if you count, it is a theoretical number, but the
Uh-huh.
amount of atoms that fit in the observable universe is an actual number, but the number is so long that the number won't even fit in the universe itself, so they have to use like symbols to represent.
Yeah.
But even that number, so many symbols
Wow.
that it's
Yeah. But it can be done.
theoretically.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
But this can't be done. Who can completely describe the prowess of Vishnu? So put those into a perspective of like, okay, here's something that certainly I can't do is count all the atoms. So how could I even, and this is a Kamutinaya, this is a particular type of philosophy of the Nyayats, or those who try to understand things very logically. And so Kamutinaya is, it gives one thing, and then it says, therefore the next thing is impossible. You could do this, but you can't do that. So it gives the contrast there and helps us to really fathom, to understand, wow, who can understand? So we just read we just heard a whole list of avatars of Krishna, but even though, there was just some names, a verse or two on some of them had 2 or 3 verses. One of them had 4 or 5 verses. Who was the one who had the most verses? Krishna, yeah. So and then he gives another. Sukadeva is quite poetic and quite. He helps us he helps the hearer think, because it is he only who, in his form of Trivikram, moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyalok, up to the neutral state of the 3 modes of material nature, and all were moved. So this sounds a little mysterious. What is this? What is this relation to? What is it? What are you talking about, really? But Trivikram, one of the incarnations you read earlier in this chapter, in his relationship with Bali Maharaj, who basically, within a single step, he crossed the entire container of the universe that has all of those atoms in one step. He took one step. And Prabhupada says in the purport very humorously that just as we roll up our beds, so in the old days we used to sleep on the floor, and we used to roll up your bed in the morning and you'd wash the floor. But so basically you'd plant this little field of dream activities, and you'd have like a whole life of dreams, but then you just roll it up in the morning and it's done. Very, very simple. Even though the dreams may have been quite elaborate and we may have gone so many places, but it's just rolled up and put in the closet and kind of ignored. So just as simple as like rolling up your bed mattress or whatever it is, Krishna just takes a step and he's already surpassed the universe. So how can we understand that person who does that? It is just astronomical. And so then he said, neither I, and here's Lord Brahma, right? Again, this is Sukadev telling of this conversation between Brahma and Narada. Neither I, so Lord Brahma. Now who, he's the first, because we understand from the Shastra, from these scriptures, that Brahma was the first created. So if let's just say you're the first person in a particular area, you're the one who has you're the source of knowledge for that area, right? If you've built your house by your own hands and you kind of know everything about that house, and even if you subsequently sell this house down the line again and again, nobody will know that house as well as the first person. I think we can all agree on that. So Brahma is saying, even I actually took all those ingredients that Vishnu provided me, and I created this universe. Even I don't understand it. And what's so wonderful about Srimad Bhagavatam, it weaves in and out, and there's so much depth in a statement like this, because he repeats this again and again. He repeats this in the 10th canto a number of times, both in the prayers of the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. You kind of put one to one together, because we just hear, oh, the demigod said this, but when there's a particular verse, oh, wait a minute, that was Lord Brahma who said that, because he said it here, and he said it in another place. He said it when Lord Krishna completely bewildered him, and we'll get to that. Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully. So who was born? So Brahma was first born. Who was born next? He manifested 4 Kumaras, great sages. And when he asked them to become grihastas, got angry, he manifested Lord Shiva, and then Narada came. So he said, so even this statement, all the sages born before you, there's only 4. All of them who know fully the omnipotent personality of God. None of us together, either singular or together, none of us know completely. So what can others, again, the same Kamutanaya is given, what about others who are born after us? What can they, the example of the house, the builder of the house knows everything. He knows everything. He knows, oh yeah, that's where I messed up that nail and I had to pull it out. Nobody else would know that except the first person. But he's saying, none of us can know. Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesh, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 1,000 faces. So there's a description that Shesh has many, many faces, many heads. Each head is describing, like the waves of the river, these incarnations of the Lord. And he's doing that from the beginning of creation, still doing it, and he'll never come to the end. So again, it's like this Naya, this logic, it's like kind of baffles us. It can baffle us. Like, well then, what are we even trying for? And so the answer is the next verse, and we'll chant the Sanskrit together for that. And this is a long word, and Sanskrit is hard, so we will go as slow as possible. Thank you, to not speed up, because some of us are very good at it. Some of us, like me, is very difficult. So, Yesham sa esha bhagavandaya yedananta.
Yesham Sakesha Bhagavan Raya Vedananta
Sarvatmana Shrita Pado Yadi Nirvyagikam.
Sarvatmana Shrita Pado
Te tushtaram atitaranti cha deva mayam. Naisham mamahomiti di swashrigala bhakshe. Mamahomiti di swashrigala bhakshe. Anyone want to try?
Yesham sa esha bhagavan dayayerananta.
Yesham saesha bhagavan dayayedananta.
Sarvatmana Shrita Pado Yadinirvyagikam.
Sarvatmanashita pado yadi nirvyakilam. Te dustaram atataranti cha deva mayam. Naisham mamahamiti di swashrigala bhakshe.
Yesham sa esa bhagavan daya irananta.
Yesham saesha bhagavan dayayedananta. Sarvatmana Shita Pado Yadi Nirvyalikam. Te dustaram atitaranti cha deva mayam. Naisham mamahamiti di swasrigala bhakshe.
Yesham sa esha bhagavan dayayedananta.
Yesham saesha bhagavan dayayedananta. Sarvatmana Shrita Pado Yadi Nirvyalikam. Te dustaram atitaranti cha deva mayam. Naisham mamahomiti dhi swasrigala bhakshe. Thank you. The translation. But anyone, so here's a but. He was just saying, can't be done. Can't be done by me, by your older brothers, by you, by anyone else. And they try. Even a Nanta, Desh, cannot do it. But anyone, so anyone he's saying, this is for all of us too. But anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the personality of God, due to unalloyed surrender unto the service of the Lord, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion and can understand the Lord. Wow. So, can't do it? Now you can. And here's the process. Here's how you can do it. And then again, but immediately he says, here's another disqualifier. But those who are attached to this body, which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals, cannot do so. Kind of slaps us in the face. So immediately, if we think, and this is so amazing how he puts this, because it goes together with the last couple verses. If you think you can count the atoms, if you can think you can do everything in a material way, if you can chart everything out or do it, if you think you can do that, then sorry to say, you're no better than something to be discarded, to be eaten by a lower form of life. Quite heavy, yeah, quite heavy. So when we approach transcendental subject matter, we need to approach it in a different way, because we're so accustomed to, like, just charting everything out and figure, okay, one, A, B, C, we kind of figure it all out and then we got it. Sometimes that's helpful to put things in order, but we have to access it in a different way, not just by our mental thoughts or calculations or attributing things to things that we are used to, because what we are used to is all the matter, all those billions and trillions and unlimited gazillions of atoms. When we associate with that, then that's where our knowledge just like has no real value. And Prabhupada emphasizes this a little bit in the purport. The unalloyed devotees, so those devotees, they're not mixed with anything. They don't want yoga perfection. They don't want wealth. They don't want just knowledge. They don't want any mystic perfection. They're unalloyed. They only want the service of the Lord. That's who we're talking about. They know the glories of the Lord in the sense that they can understand how great the Lord is and how great is his expansion of diverse energy. What was it? Deva Maya, right? Deva Mayam. It is his energy. So we can also just say, oh yeah, it's just material energy. Yeah. But it's Krishna's energy. Deva Mayam. Mayam etam taranti te. Krishna said, this is my energy. And it's very difficult to overcome. But, and he also says, but in the Bhagavad Gita a number of times, but if you surrender unto me, easily you can cross beyond it. Those who are attached to the perishable body can hardly enter into the realm of the science of Godhead. The whole materialistic world, based on the conception of the material body as the self, is ignorant of the science of God. The materialist is always busy working for the welfare of the material body, not only his own, but also those of his children, kinsmen, countrymen, community men, countrymen, etc. The materialists have many branches of philanthropic and altruistic activities from a political, national, and international angle of vision, but none of the field work can go beyond the jurisdiction of the misconception of identifying the material body with the spirit soul. So we could be accused, and sometimes we are when we don't present this maturely, we could be accused of having a hard heart against all those things that are relatively good in the material world, you could say. There are some things that are from a good-natured person. You could say, oh, yeah, that person's a very good-natured person. They're very charitable, they're very this, they're very altruistic, they're philanthropic, they're trying to help others. But so you could say that a statement like this is like, oh, are we just turning our back on them? No, those are good people. And for them to then just make the next step, because they're practically there. They're practically there, seeing good in everything and seeing others having the potential for good. They just need to know what the real good is. So we don't discount them. We don't say, yeah, that's just a bunch of Maya, philanthropy, they're just helping their material bodies, Prabhu, and what's going to happen? They're just going to be eaten by dogs and jackals. We don't have to help that, No, but they're so close because they are contacting that, you could say, a little bit of that higher nature to know, oh, there's something beyond just me. I should help others. But they just don't have that extra bit of knowledge to understand what is the real help for them. So we don't discount them, but we don't stop there either. We want to give a little. We want to give a little more, a little inkling. Unless, therefore, so this is another very heavy statement that sometimes could like jade our understanding of the compassionate Lord Chaitanya Nityananda, the compassion of just giving and being very open. We could read a statement like this and think, oh, this is a very closed society. So prepare yourselves. Unless, therefore, one is saved from the wrong conception of the body and the soul, there is no knowledge of Godhead. And unless there is knowledge of God, all advancement in material civilization, however dazzling it may be, should be considered a failure. Hare Krishna. Om Gyana Jnanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapanam Vanchakavatarubhishta Kripasindubiya Vicha Patitanam Bhavaniyabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namaniya Shesha Kleshanashaya Paramanandadaya Vrindavani Vinde Vishwapujita Pushpasarananda Krishna Jivani Vishwapavani Tulsi. So how do we not become fearful of a statement of this sort? How do we not become cold to the fellow humanity, you could say? And again, it's just by what can we provide them that will just get them over that hump? Because, yeah, we certainly are embodied. And because we're embodied, that means we wanted to be embodied at some point. And everything in relation to the body, the mind, the senses, everything, we become attracted to it. And we're always looking for something more because this method of enjoyment is not complete. It's always a little incomplete. And so how can we give completion to a society, a person, or a family, or a community member, or a country, or anyone? How can we give that completeness? We have to be, again, very patient and very persistent as well to remind them. Although we don't need to remind them in words, we can see this. We see it again and again and again in the material world, that nothing is permanent. Nothing is always going to be maintained like Vishnu maintains things. It's always going to be up and down, shuka, soka, there's going to be happiness and distress, there's going to be misery, and there's going to be elation. All these things are going to be there. And we see it. And when we just simply try to apply yet another material solution to the material problem, that itself creates yet another, because there was a problem, let's say back in the turn of the 18th to the 19th century. The problem was getting around, right? Couldn't get around fast enough. All right, what are we going to do? Oh, combustible engine. This will help us get around. But what has happened to the world because of the combustible engine? There's wars over oil. There's so much strife, but it was a solution. It seemed to be to get from one place to another, because I'm not satisfied just being happy in my own village anymore. I want to go to the other big village. and there and do trade and make money, make more. So the solution was combustible engines and then oil production and all this and countries fighting over this oil, that's just one tiny little thing that was seeming a solution to a problem, but became a bigger problem in of itself. And still, when we see the new self-driving cars, we become bedazzled. However dazzling it is, we become dazzled by, wow, did you see the self-driving car? What does it do to society, to the environment and everything to make those lithium ion, whatever type of batteries it is? Who knows what thing down the line they think, oh, this is better than combustible engine. But we don't know yet. What's going to happen in 30 years of, whatever, when you throw away those batteries, what's going to happen to them? You don't know yet. So all these solutions, when we apply material solutions to material problems, we get yet another material problem. And so Srimad Bhagavatam is introducing a new way of thinking, a new way of understanding that if you actually, your goodwill and your kindness to each other, that's very good. But if you apply it in relationship to Krishna, then a real solution can come about. There's just a lot of Srila Prabhupada's early preaching in India before he even came. This was one of his things he would say over and over again. We have these problems, but if we do it like, all we have to do is add Krishna to it, become a Krishna conscious society. He was there trying in India. But so we this one thing, this being favored by the Supreme Lord. So how do you think, or from what you know, or from what you've heard, even in all of our short lives, how do you think how do we get favored by the Lord? Okay.
It seems like the solution seems to be over and over devotional service.
Yes. Due to unalloyed surrender, the service of the Lord. But how do we get the favor to do that? This is a favor. It's like we ask each other favors sometimes, right? Hey, can you cover this offering for me? I gotta not take it in there.
Approach a teacher for knowledge and like how to execute devotional service.
That's the process, yes. How do we get the favor?
I just read this in
Oh, good.
like 2 days ago. So Rupa Goswami says that the price for achieving God's favor is simply one's sincere eagerness to have it.
Yeah. And what does Krishna say? Krishna say about favors? Yes. What is your name?
Anu.
Anu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So I think that Krishna is saying that whatever the things you get, praise those things what is given by the God, and then in the reverse, it's nothing but a praise to God.
Ah.
So you should be thankful to what you are having.
Yeah. Giving understand, giving the benefit or giving the understanding that yes, that I haven't done this.
Exactly.
This comes from God. Very good. Thank you. What does Krishna say about giving favors? Now you have to read my mind because it's obscure. Yes, Adi Shalom.
There might be two options here.
There's probably 100 options.
So,
But it's this one you're looking for. Go ahead.
Madhava had briefly mentioned inquiring, or like to add serving,
Serving.
that devotee, Krishna says devotee of my devotee.
Yeah.
That's because my devotee. And the other plan B would be approach by Rani, but again, it's a service.
Oh, yeah.
to a devotee.
Service. We're getting there. Very close. Hey, Sham. My car. Yeah. Can you drive a truck? We'll get the maintenance man, right? Lord Vishnu. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti porvakam. This Krishna is saying this, and he's saying this in a number of verses together, specifically to inspire us. That for those who are constantly, tesham satata, satata means constant, satata yuktanam, yukta vairagya, we use engagement. When we're doing something, there's yukta, we're doing something. And satata yukta is doing something all the time. For me. And then what are we doing? Bhajan. We're doing worship. We're doing service to Krishna. We're keeping Krishna or God in the front of our mind when we do something. When we get something, oh, that wasn't me. That was from Krishna. That was from God. He's the supplier. He's giving everything. Yaham, he gives everything. He is supplying everything. Budgetam, and not just the yukta doing it, and okay, this is classified as bhajan because it's connected with Krishna, like I offer the art, okay, that's bhajan. Not like that. There's another ingredient, priti purvakam, with priti is love, and purvakam is like overflooding ecstasy of love for Krishna, that fully acknowledging and understanding that this is coming from Krishna, and what is this incense? It's been put together by some shop or whatever, but I am offering it because this is all I have. Krishna, please take it with great love. This and so many different examples in the histories we've been given of this, like Sudam Vipra, he had nothing, and he gave to Krishna chipped rice, or like the lowest quality rice you could. And what was the one thing? It wasn't even his. He didn't have it. He had to beg it from someone else. Can you give us? I'm going to see Krishna. Can you give me a little? And he brought it. And then this was what Krishna said, I can't do anything for him. It is beyond my ability to reciprocate with him, because I have everything. I own everything already. He owns nothing. And he gave me more than what he owns. But I can't give him more than what I own because I already own it. So he's in this dilemma. So what does he do? This is where he comes in. But anyone who is specifically favored by the Lord, for those who I am especially, now when he says for those, are we there? Are you finding it? Bhagavad Gita 10:12. Anyway. He says, for those, who are those? Tesham satati bhajatam priti, those worshiping me with great love. Eva no kamparta. I give this special mercy. When we're thinking, wow, I feel so alone sometimes. I'm not getting. I don't feel so special or so. But Krishna will give us that special mercy if we engage in his service. And he's not asking for millions of dollars, lots of dakshin, lots of this or lots of that. No, just do some simple service. Give something, give some chipped rice, even if it's beyond your ability to acquire. Give it to Krishna, give it to God. And he'll give, what does he give? Buddhi yoga. I'll give you the understanding. This is what this verse is all about. We just heard how many 2 verses. Nobody can understand me, but I will give the understanding for those who have taken up this process of devotion, bhajatam pratipurvatam. To those I give the understanding. And what happens to those? They just become completely happy. And not only that, they then want to spread that happiness and they want to share that happiness. And so these are some indications of what we can appreciate about Krishna, even though he is so ununderstandable to me. By engaging in service, we start to understand. We start to give some knowledge and some realization of Krishna. So we are at our time. We have some comments. Yes.
So I'm kind of having a hard time still understanding like the origin of where an individual's desire like would, or just, I guess, naturally come to want to worship and love and understand Krishna and do service in that. Because my understanding would be that maybe first, like Krishna would have to give you some type of reciprocation or like reveal himself in some type of way, like initially to kind of like start that spark. Like anytime you fall in love with someone or something, there's some like, you see them and that's like what sets it off.
Yeah.
And sets everything in motion, and then you get.
So your question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
So yes is the answer. Krishna is in our hearts. Krishna is there. That is another unbelievable, incomparable mercy that we don't even think about mostly. But he says, I dwelling in their hearts. I dwelling in their hearts. I dwell there. I live there. And we hear the examples how we've ignored him there for so long, like the two birds on the tree. One bird is always looking for the fruits and enjoying, but there's one that's there, that's never turned to say, well, here's the real fruit of enjoyment. Here's the real thing. But he dwells there so mercifully. And so he's directing us. And we're wandering, and Chaitanya Charitamrita said, we're wandering from the topmost planet to the lowest planet. He's watching us. He's watching us going for this fruit and that fruit and this body and that body over and over and over and over, up and down and up. And he's watching us. And then at some point he thinks, this poor soul, let me put him in contact with somebody. He makes it. He does it. He sets that. And then in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that progression is described. At first, Ado Shraddha is there, but even before that, there's Guru Padashrayam, and there's devotee association is given to that person. Is given, give a little inkling. And then a very wonderful description by Lord Chaitanya to Rupa Goswami of the seed of devotion. It just starts as a tiny seed with some appreciation, a little bit of appreciation for Krishna. And that seed is there. And if we water it, and we can bring it about. And so all of these are kind of intermingled. You could say, well, what was Krishna's mercy there? Or did I run into a devotee by chance? Or was that chance created by Krishna, who is dwelling within me and also within the heart of the other person? We can't trace it back exactly, but we know Krishna is involved. And so we should be, wow, even just our being here, sitting in this room today, this was the result of Krishna's mercy to us. And when we're here tomorrow, that will be a result also of Krishna keeping us here. And even sometimes when we become disenchanted, or sometimes we'll go away, but we'll always come back because Krishna is there guiding us. And when we forget about it, we do try, and then I think somewhere in first or second canto it said they'll try again. They may try again to enjoy, but they'll never really enjoy, because we've gotten a piece of it. We've gotten a taste here by chanting Krishna's name, by doing some devotional service. We got a taste that is different than any flavor or sound or color that we may have experienced with the material senses. We've gotten a taste into the spiritual senses and to our very selves that, oh, that's something new. And again, we may become bewildered again, and we may drift away, but then we'll always have that, and it'll always come back. I mean, we've seen it over and over the past. Again, the Christian consciousness movement is young, but over the 50 years, we see devotees go, but then they come back, and they're like, wow, and they give this realization that we don't have yet, maybe, but that they'll give a realization, like when they talk about their experience, yeah, I did try. I tried my best, but I couldn't find anything like this. So I think a mixture of recognizing Krishna, and that's why this whole section of the Bhagavatam. How do we recognize Krishna? Well, here's Krishna in his incarnations. Here's Krishna in the modes of nature. Here's Krishna in the unmanifest Brahman. Here's Krishna in his Virat Rupa. Here's Krishna everywhere. Just see it. And if you don't see it, then you pray to Krishna. Krishna, how can I see you? Do I have a moment to? I have my bag of books that I always bring. I never mark anything, but I know within the books there's always something special. So I will read. Which one? I know it's in the Gita Mala. These are songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he helps us understand how to pray to Krishna. And he gives this, it's called Yamuna Bhavali. It's 64 songs, or 64 verses by Jamunacharya that Bhaktivinoda Thakur takes and makes a song out of each one of them. And there's one about, sometimes we get bewildered. How can we see the Lord? How can we in this situation? Because we've just described this tabernacle. It's like so all-encompassing. And he starts all these songs. Hari, hey, oh my dear Lord, Hari. And why Hari? Hari means he who takes away misery, takes away our ignorance, and he gives us, he gives us that from the Jnana Dvipena, he shines in our heart the understanding of him. Oh my dear Lord Hari, as long as the mind of the jivas are conditioned by Maya, they simply wander about and loiter within the world of dead matter. It's a realized soul. He can see that, yeah, we can count all the atoms, we can see it all, but it is just dead matter. Without his influence, everything is just nothing. Everything is nothing. But it's philosophy also. But with the infusion of Jiva and the infusion of Krishna, everything becomes active. You are permanently situated in the all-conscious spiritual sky, which the material mind cannot perceive at all. So again, he is everywhere. But as Bhagavatam today said, we can't fully understand it. By the mercy of the sharp sword of devotional service. Again, that Priti Purvakam. By that sharp sword, sometimes you see like these old commercials, the ginsu, and you slice a tomato, like it's so sharp. Right? All bondage, by that sharp sword of devotional service, the bondage is, if you're bound with rope, you need a sharp instrument to cut it. All the bondage to matter is severed, and the mind can therefore travel beyond the bondage of material energy. We're specifically favored by the Supreme Lord due to surrender, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion. Ah, so it's such a fitting song for this. Then, upon beholding your wonderfully beautiful form, one condemns all inferior things which are simply made of dull matter. So that's where this, like, okay, this the heaviness of Srila Prabhupada is there. We don't, and we sometimes do that immaturely. We're condemning everything. Oh, it's all Maya. It's all this, or all that, because we've just experienced something. But then once we become mature in that understanding, then we want to share that immediately with the same people that we may not want to become contaminated by, right? And then finally he ends thus: by devotion, one is enabled to see he, capital H, Krishna, who possesses unlimited transcendental opulences, who is an ocean of compassion, and who is the Lord and Master of all souls. Not just those who are understanding him, but all of them, even the ones still fully attached to the matter. This most fallen Bhaktivinoda. So this is a prayer we could say of something like this: Krishna, I am also in this matter, and sometimes I'm being dragged. Sometimes I'm being dragged here and there by the matter, the attraction of matter. I, who am always bereft of pure devotional service, not even consider that even though we're engaging in devotional service, and Srila Prabhupada says our engagement in that is pure devotional service, but for ourselves, we're thinking, oh no, I'm not there yet. I'm doing the best I can, but I am still attached. We have to have some honesty in ourselves. And then he says, so therefore I beg. When somebody is to the point of begging, that means they have no other hope. When one is begging, they just like, I have no capability on my own to do this. I'm looking for your causeless mercy within my heart. So again, it goes right back to Krishna is right there with us, right there, and all we have to do is turn to him, and we can get that, because he's manifest everywhere. Aish Kanzi Shato Jagat Ayan. Just by a fragment of himself, he is everywhere in the universe. Kanzi. So just our turning sometimes, it's all it takes, and then a prayer. Just let me keep in that face. I've gone way over. Good thing Shruti's not here. Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.